Dr. Niranjan M. Kumar garu. He has done his PhD in biochemistry and master's in technology management from Wharton Business School. Dr. Kumar is a senior biopharmaceutical executive with over 30 years of experience in terms of R&D, technology, operations, business, and global site management. He has been working with global pharmaceutical companies. Now, currently, he is CEO of ABS Incorporations, biopharmaceutical company. He has also served as an advisory board member for biotech venture firms. He has been associated with various products and technologies with the launch of various vaccines, including Prevenar. I hope all Indians would know what Prevenar is. He's associated with the rare and breakthrough technologies, cell therapy and COVID vaccine as well. Currently, he holds Grand Reviewer for American Lung Association. Along with that, he's also got honorary awards, Best Research Award, organizing and co-chairing global pharma conference groups. He also has professional affiliations with American Lung Association, American Association for Clinical Chemistry, and he's also a member of Hannah's Charitable Trust, which helps the HIV-infected orphans. Over to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. I really appreciate. So I want to thank the organizing committee, particularly Joseph Paturi and also Dr. David Chigurupati and all you young generation, to organizing such a, wonderful and amazing conferences. We all actually spending the weekends and weekdays worshiping God, praising God, right? That's what we need. So actually, I was wondering why I need to speak about this, and COVID related into this meeting. What has really evolved, exactly when the second wave started in India, there are a lot of unexpected deaths. We are not prepared, basically. So the major issue, what has happened, my own family. Actually, I mean, in the sense, the relatives, right, maternal or friend, even a very dearest friend, we all, they all died. You're talking about 40 to 50 years. Besides that, US, we all witnessed, how the whole COVID really taken a number of lives and infected many people, irrespective of color and irrespective of age, irrespective of, what your status, right? What profession you are. So that is one. What really also bothered, one of the young guy from IT background, which is a very close associates of Dr. David's family, visited with his two young children and a wife to Guntur during that COVID, and then just got acquired and died. It's a really, mind. It's very sad. It's very sad. So, I mean, with all these things, and also I heard that the number of pastors, the pastors, of course, some of them we know in India, these evangelists or, pastors fully depend on their livelihood, go to places and, preach the gospel. So then, I was told that almost 500 pastors passed away. The reason was exchanging the mouthpieces, and also particularly probably, not maintaining the social distance and on and so forth. Same thing, I'm sure, happened in other countries as well, right? So with that, what I wanted to do today, let me focus this completely. Okay, so again, this conference today is the last in the series, Be Exemplary in Your Deeds. So let your light shine before me. They may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Matthew 5:15. All the Holy Spirit wants us to know is the good deeds, is the good deeds. So anyway, good deeds are indeed only rewarded by God, not man, right? So this is very, very important. So all the good deeds come from the God. So Jesus Christ, in his exemplary life, he has shown his deeds by, doing a number of miracles and, number of, the works he has done and lived his life. And finally, he has died for our sins, very sins. So, so what I decided today again to discuss this, how to cope up with COVID-19, the managing the change and challenges with reference to Christian response, right? Well, I mean, as a Christians, what are we doing? How do we respond to this? How we have been responding to this? So, as we know that there are, challenges of global pandemic flu. It happened in 9, if you all remember. This is a flu, right? Pandemic flu. Actually acquired, and it's transmitted from as well as bird flu. You must have heard, started from, Hong Kong, China, and that, region, and it spreaded to the world. The picture you see here is the Spanish flu in 1918. This is again, 500 million people infected globally, and then 52 million deaths happened. This is what happened at the time. There are no, set hospitals. These are all like warehouses. They put the beds and take care of the people. So at present, the pandemic virus could travel worldwide by the time the first vaccine is available or not available. So what really it means? See here, you see now, 1918, I just mentioned, there is the Spanish flu, 50 to 100 people died. Then we also expected and well prepared and well predicted to 2009. And actually they were thinking there could be to 360 million people could die. Thank God, globally, especially US and Europe, and have done a good job, preparing very well, right? In terms of vaccine development, in terms of therapeutic development, in terms of testing, all those things. So now, are we really prepared for COVID-19? Really not, right? So it travels. You just heard that yes, there was a Delta variant identified in India, moved to UK, and then you see that spreading like a wildfire in USA and Brazil and other parts of the world. So with that, so what I decided actually today's my talk, not mostly focusing on giving the talk on exemplary of your deed, but I think it's correlating a little bit, educating the youth, and then understanding what you know, what you don't know so far, right? I mean, why I had to speak about this? There are a lot of news. Everybody knows. Even a kid knows in Africa, or you go to a village, in India, kid knows what is RT-PCR, what is that, what do you call vaccine, which is amazing. At least they know by name, right? And we all, we have a lot of social media. I mean, we exchange a lot of WhatsApp information and Facebook, whatnot, right? Many various means of understanding. We all locked down, and we have nothing to do other than just watching the news, understanding what's going on, how many people are dying, and so on and so forth, or how many people got infected, how they recovered, right? So that is how. But I think today what I wanted to give it to this group, young dynamic leaders, to be the leaders going into the field, doing your work for the God, glorifying the God, right? So what I wanted to give you some sort of a pictorial presentation. The picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So Let us see the status. The current COVID-19, now USA, the new cases are almost, 1,053,000, right? Almost 1.5 million. Then you have confirmed cases around 38 million. Then see the deaths, almost 626,000. India, 164 new cases. So, lately it has been coming down. We'll discuss the reasons. And they're also expecting the third wave. In fact, they're supposed to get the third wave, kind of delaying. So that's where it is. Then the Brazil. Actually, Brazil has now confirmed cases almost 20 million, right? 20.6 million. Then the deaths are almost 500,000, 0.6 million deaths. Then you see the UK, and then the next is Iran. Why I put these countries? First, USA is dominating in the cases, and also the India second, and Brazil. More or like these are the major countries than UK. Of course, UK is also a incubation center for passing into the Europe and coming into the US and so on and so forth. Now let us see the global picture. This is by WHO data, right? Globally, you have 213 million cases, whereas 4.5 million died. This is official data. We don't know how many people died, right? India, you don't get a real picture. In other countries in Africa and, various parts of the world. So coming back now, thank God we have developed rapidly vaccine. I'm going to discuss a little bit what that means. And then, we have administered so far 4.62 billion doses, okay? It could be 2 doses, it could be a single dose. So that's where we are, global scenario. So what I'm going to discuss for this group, I know some of you may not be knowing science, but must have heard COVID and what happened to our own families, friends, parents, or neighbors. So I must be watching the news. So don't worry about too much that technical jargon today. I'm going to kind of go through, which is good sometimes, right? Even you don't understand sometimes. Hey, listen to a real picture is very important. That's what I thought. I wanted to discuss that. So, but don't worry if there's too much medical technical terms are involved. I will try to simplify it and make it fast. Okay, some of the slides I might jump it, because this talk I prepared. I was invited actually to give a talk in exactly last August 24, 2020. So it was, more on the, people wanted to understand what's going on. In the COVID, at that time, we don't have knowledge about the vaccines or even the therapeutic drugs other than just the testing. We started testing everywhere, right? So, based on that, I kind of, modified this presentation. So now, what is SARS-CoV-2, right? This is a virus. This is the virus caused COVID-19 disease. This is COVID-19 is a disease. It's not a virus. So don't get confused. So what is this? What are the tests for doing this, right? And then what are the therapeutic interventions? So far we have developed or we have been using repurposed medicine already there, and we try to use here, right? Then immediate measures. What immediate measures have been taken? How do vaccines work? There's a lot of confusion out, even among a lot of Christians. They say, why should we take vaccine? Okay, believe in God and we don't want to take vaccine. So, we're going to discuss that. Even, well-developed countries where we have developed in a rapid speed of vaccines in America and Europe and other parts, still 50% of Americans have not taken vaccine, which is very sad. It's given free and taking it. So how, maybe because they don't know. like our previous examples of some issues they have experienced or encountered. So whatever the case may be. So we'll talk a little bit on the how do vaccines work and how are the vaccines developed. Basically, overall, there are many types of vaccines came up now. So we will look quickly. I'm not going into too much science, okay, because I understand here the purpose is to run by what is really going on. Because otherwise, what is COVID and you've been seeing the news. So there's nothing I can say new, right? My idea is to introduce something what is really you need to know today. So then also we talk about how these vaccines are made and then access and allocation, right? Is there to be a fair and equitable allocation of limited supplies, especially low-income groups, mid-income groups. They don't have infrastructure. Making vaccines is a very complicated process. It's not making a pill, right? It just, go and, print the pills, tablets and capsules for millions, no problem. But these vaccines are very, very tricky business. You got to have a, very, solid, experience, knowledge, and infrastructure. That is the key. So then going into country readiness for COVID-19 vaccines, the effects of various variants on COVID-19 vaccine. What is really that mean, right? We all talk about variants. What does that mean? Then, the safety of COVID vaccines and, then side effects you have to know, we have to know. And then how, as a Christian, right? As a leader, as a youth, how to talk about vaccines, how you kind of tell your colleagues who didn't know anything about it. And then, then what is your role as a Christian? So let's move on to next slide. I don't know why this is stuck. Okay. So let's go and see how this severe acute respiratory distress syndrome coronavirus, which is called SARS-CoV-2, right? That is what we call SARS-CoV-2. But a lot of people don't even know because all we know is COVID-19. As I mentioned, COVID-19 is a disease caused by this virus. Viruses are very tricky, very tiny particles, right? We cannot see even by regular microscope. Bacteria you can see, but viruses you cannot. They're like, you're talking, this particular virus is 100 nanometers, right? So very small. So that's why it's very critical. I mean, it's yet very complicated. It's not like, the story is the number of viruses we know, we have experienced, we have been taking vaccines, but every virus goes through a different pattern of infection. Not everything fits, goes through the same way of, affecting people, killing people, or, reacts to this drug or vaccine. So everything is very different. So just what I wanted you to focus in this is, you see this, the crown shape spike proteins. So these are the spike proteins, right? And then you have M protein in the membrane, right? These are the M proteins. And then there's a nucleocapsid protein. These are all needed for the virus to self-replicate and then produce its proteins, right? What proteins I'm going to explain later, but these are good to know. And then, of course, E protein here is the small guy. That is the envelope protein is needed for assembly and morphogenesis. What does that mean? Or pathogenesis. Because once, this inside RNA, a single thread, this is a single thread. You see this here, just a single strand or thread. Think about it. So this virus is an RNA virus. I mean, viruses can be DNA viruses. Viruses can be, RNA viruses. RNA viruses are very tricky because of, it replicates very fast and it's very difficult to, treat. See that left side you see here, how if you cut open this, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and there is the RNA blue. It's a very nice presentation, right? You see in the blue, this is what very dangerous guy. Why we are doing RT-PCR? Because RT-PCR, you need to detect what is the RNA in your saliva or in your nasopharyngeal or nose, right? So that's why RNA or RT-PCR technique is developed. I want you to understand here, my right side on the this is see exactly what you do is take a nose or throat swabs, and then of course in the labs immediately they extract, and then you see once you have that, and then they do convert that into DNA and then start testing, amplifying it by a technique called PCR. So what is that this viral RNA look like? In the universe, such a way, this genetic material is created. This is the, in a four, what you call nucleotides we call, right? It is ATGC, but RNA, instead of T, you have U. That's only the difference. So basically, in any given sequence, you have only these 4 repeats in a different combination, right? So that's why, there may be a mutation here in 1A that becomes a variant. And then, of course, there will be another mutation here that will be another variant. So why these variants are created? Because these are pretty much needed to come into the body, right? It started replicating it. And during that time, various people, various ethnic origins, right? So it has to survive into the system. So during that time, this RNA4, the molecules I just showed, kind of replicate and then make mistakes. They don't follow the same sequence, right? That time, either they might be less infective or very, infective. So that's why, this Delta variant has been evolved. Actually, it started in India, by the way. Okay, so here is see, I just wanted to show, this is what, when you see in electron microscopy, it's a very nice, see here, these on the surface, glycoproteins, this is a spike protein. It's called, a coronavirus, right? Because the shape here, if you look at the right side, it looks like a crown. Based on the Latin, that's what the name came, crown, right? Also, previously, SARS-CoV-1 has been identified long time back, around 2010 in Asia. And MERS vaccine is a family, they're sisters, cousins, right? They have been identified in camel in Saudi Arabia. But at least they are not that bad compared to this COVID-19. They just, you get, see, most of these, viruses, first thing happens is you get into the lung through the nose, and then you get sneezing, you get, throat infection, and you get all that reactions, because lung is what? A first conduit for any entry, because you breathe, right? Through the lung, you breathe oxygen. So that's why lung is, unfortunately, goes through a lot of insults. Well, that is the first defense mechanism. So, so here is how this SARS-CoV-2 is transmitted by exposure to infectious respiratory fluids, right? So, see here, the principal mode is exposure to respiratory fluids carrying infectious virus, like in you're loaded in your mouth or in the nose. A lot of these liquids are there by sneezing, by coughing, or whatever you do. So exposure occurs in 3 principal ways. One is inhalation of very fine respiratory droplets. See, we breathe all the time. Not only viruses, we breathe bacteria, we breathe a lot of, like you go to the miners, right? They do mining, they breathe. People who are working, construction people, they breathe the dust. All these are the routine things, right? So that's why this goes through a very fine respiratory droplets and also aerosol particles. What happened, the virus is so tiny, this go and then find some liquid, right? Whatever, you sneeze, then it goes and catches that and then forms the aerosol particles. So this is very, very critical why we are using masks. why we have to wash hands, why we have to make distance. Very, 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 very important. I can't overemphasize. Highly educated, computers, engineers, studying everywhere, working, clue how to take care. That's why this talk I emphasize how to take care. You don't have to, well, I don't have to take vaccine. I went onto the site last 1 year working with the 2 masks. Of course, still I maintain because I know much about the virology, right? So why not everybody will do that? But again, you can't ask them because you have to understand. You have to have a knowledge. Otherwise, by default, we do things unknowingly. That's why I thought, I wanted to bring this to the group or forum today to make you aware. So you as a pastors, leaders, go back and teach and preach these things in a church or evangelism, wherever you're going. So that way, that's very important. Not just praying and complaining, wow, this guy is died, that guy is died, he's infected, she's infected. We cannot avoid, unfortunately. But God has given these tools to do your deeds, good deeds, by going back, educating your people. Pastors or evangelists are the first tool. They can really spread it, educate your congregations, your teams, right? In churches, everywhere in US, politically, they play major role. Everybody pray and vote for Republican. They vote. Hey, don't take vaccine. They do it. I'm telling you. So you as a educated or whatever your capacity, learn these things, understand, and go back and then do your job. That's very, very important. So coming back, of course, the entries are mouth, nose, even eye by direct splashes and sprays, right? So we don't protect, of course, eyes. Some of these areas and also the surfaces, like soil either directly by virus containing respiratory fluids, somebody sneezed out there, or your mask was dumped there in the garbage or on the street, right? Or maybe something in the, so there could be a potential for the utensils and all those things. So again, I explained, I wanted to go a little bit fast so that I'm covering it, you understand something. So if anything, you can ask me questions later. Happy to help you, explain you. So again, the inhalation of air carrying very small fine droplets or aerosol particles that contain infectious virus. Risk of transmission is greatest within 3 to 6 feet. That's why I say, hey, maintain, beyond 6 feet. I'm telling you, this is very, very critical. Otherwise, well, feel free to get infected and God bless you after that. So maintain this distance, no matter how close your brother, wife, or whatever, stay away from them. Maintain, you don't have to hug, you don't have to kiss, and you don't have to shake hand. You don't have to do that. This is the time. No, there's no time for us like that. So it's not that vaccines are developed, we are all, home free. No, I'll tell you about that why. So deposition of virus carried in inhaled droplets, we talked already, and touching mucous membranes, quite natural. We touch ourselves or maybe eyes or anything, then how do we really either wash immediately or just, pass on that? So this slide is very interesting. I want to show you. See, this is the classical virus, right? The corona, right? The nice the spiked protein. This is all orange is the spike protein. And all the drugs, vaccines are targeted against only this protein out of many proteins I have shown in the past. Just so focus today, that is important, right? Because this is the one binds it and then, onto the cells, in your lung or, nose or whatever, like mouth, then pass on into the right position. See how clever this virus is. It can't go and just go and, I have in my mouth, so it will go through my mouth into the tissues, maybe tongue and goes inside. No, it won't do that. It has a specific location in the lung, which I'm going to show. Then once it goes there by binding, it's a classical way of viruses behave. It binds it into the particular cell using a particular cell surface receptors, and then it goes inside and then it goes and uses your cell or our cell machinery to survive, to replicate, right? Replicate, produce, 1 becomes 10, 10 becomes, it's all like a logarithmic, right? Logarithmic. So then it will become millions. And then what happened? That cell is killed. Then it will go to next cell or next organ, lungs to heart, heart to kidneys, kidneys to liver. So what it does here, see here, this is the lung alveolar epithelial cells. In a meeting, I would like to probably talk about my witness, personal witness. No time, I would stay away today. I started my career actually working on these cells in the lung biology many years back. That's where I started. Exactly these cells. We were actually one of the leading pioneers in the world on this type 2 cells. Anyway, we did a lot of work in 90s, published a lot of papers. And so exactly this virus goes through this type 2 cells. So I can speak a lot. So see this blue here. This spike protein orange binds to this blue, which is the ACE receptors. Okay, angiotensin converting enzyme to receptor. That is what it is. This is also called receptor binding site. A lot of drugs, even remdesivir, only one drug as antiviral is focused against blocking that event or that right. So a lot of drugs are designed, or people are working, pharmaceutical companies to target this. Then of course vaccine is against the spike protein. So just want to show you what it is. So this is the left side again. You see, this is the viral particles in real electron microscopy in infected tissue. This is the lung. The pink is the cells of the organ, and here is the virus. So what exactly how this virus gets inside? I told you already. This is a ACE2 is a Y-shaped receptor on the alveolar epithelium, right? This is very important because that's where the gas exchange takes place. You breathe oxygen, and then you also, of course, obviously exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, right? That's what gas exchange. So these alveolar chambers downside of the lung is very critical. And that's where on the line on that epithelium, this is called alveolar epithelial cells, which I already told you. This is where this receptor in a Y shape. So this, see how clever this virus just binds there and then happily goes inside, and then viral entry, and then it replicates, and then obviously started doing its job. I want right side see this, a little bit, though again, I told you, don't bother about science, just to see the picture. And then at least next time when, you hear about this, at least right? So here, this is in a virus, right? This is the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2 we call. See this Y shape little bit. This is called ACE2. Very important receptor. What does it do? It's a lot of drugs we take for blood pressure, and a lot of that other kidney and all that for it plays a role in injury, inflammation, and repair processes. A lot of diseases are these, right, due to this. So, and this particular angiotensin, the conversion enzyme is ACE, we call it. What does it do? It converts angiotensin, one of the protein, into the 2. This 2 is a very bad guy. That's what is, the more you produce, so obviously you get all these issues with, inflammation, leaky vessels, high blood pressure, so on and so forth. So this, ACE acts as a ACE1 receptor. This acts as a bad guy. Whereas here ACE2 counters this effect of ACE, its function. So it reduces, it breaks down all the angiotensin 2, and then that's how it protects normal tissue or normal cells. So what is happening during COVID? COVID comes and occupies this receptor, ACE2 receptor. Then the normal function of its ACE2 receptor is blocked, right? So therefore, it is started doing, a lot of effects. That's what we get into, adult respiratory distress syndrome. You can't breathe, right? And then it will see the rest of the cascade, which I'm going to show you. Okay, this is a beautiful, healthy looking lung, right? How this is the, the trachea, where it goes and right lungs. You see, this is all alveolus. So this is where the virus goes all the way, and then tumbles, and then goes and finds its type 2 cells. In that also, ACE2 receptor only it finds. See how clever, right? It's a very, very complicated. It's not that because, it goes into the lung, it goes everywhere, affect. No, it just, goes all the way here, finds the type 2 cells, then finds the, ACE2 receptor. Okay. This is again, I'm just focusing on healthy lung, how this, see this, alveolar and alveolus. So that is where it is. This is again one more lung epithelial model I just wanted to show here. This is the one I wanted to pay a little bit attention to understand how this COVID really plays a role and causes COVID-19 disease progression. So again, I think we already talked, these are air sacs. Say once, by the way, when you fully inflate the lung, human lung, right? Like a tire, remember car tires? When you fully inflate, this is when you cut open that lung of adult lung, it is as big as a tennis court. So the largest organ compacted in a small, like a 5 to 6 foot people, right? That's all we are. So this is a beautiful creation, of course, of God. And so that's why lung is very, whatever happens to lung, we don't know. It is so big. And that's why when you notice people are diagnosed with lung cancer, immediately they die. Other cancers, at least you can treat by various radiation therapy, chemotherapy, and, taking medicines or, cut them and all. But the lung is very difficult to find out. That's why a lot of medicines, a lot of work, diagnostic front is still ongoing on this area. So anyway, we've seen all this good stuff, how the SARS-CoV utilizes these receptors as a gateway to infect alveolar epithelial cells. So what happens is, why people die? Why people survive? Why people are asymptomatic, meaning they get COVID, but they're still okay, right? And they don't know they have it. Maybe slight cold-like symptoms, sore throat, but they think, well, I'm okay. So I'll tell you, these alveolar epithelial and other cells play in COVID disease progression. There are two things happening. Bombarding of these cytokine release. Cytokines are again, various proteins. It could be signals. It could be, play a major role in various disease control, disease progression, right? So these are all very important. But, all of them cell burst, and then these are all releases. Like look at this interferon beta and all these cytokine, interleukin 1, 6, all these cytokines, burst out. And then what they do, they just go and, affect surrounding neighboring cells, healthy cells. That's how the cytokine storm is very, very major, issue in this COVID-19 disease progression. And then also, as we discussed, it also inhibit ACE receptor 2. I mean, that is very important, as we discussed, because it has to do its job in a normal situation, breaking the angiotensin, but unfortunately in this case, it is not. And increases, of course, angiotensin 2, which is again bad guy for lung injury, inflammation, repair. So again, left side, I want to see, this is again a lung. Challenges to understand the developed response and pathogenic outcome in COVID-19 patients. So you see how this virus on the left side coming. As I told you, the virus just passes. It's not that, because it goes here and finds some cell and affect and damage and kill. No, it's so precise, right? It's so precise. So it just tumbles, and then sees this type 2, the cells. And then, of course, you have also in the lungs, a lot of blood cells also flowing, right? There are major, the defensing cells, right? White cells, red cells, and macrophages. All those things are very important for, protecting you from the damage or from the disease. So in this case, of course, how the vaccines are made, they're all made in the blood cells. We'll talk about that a little bit. So this is, right side here, two cells create hyperinflammation because of the damage. A lot of these, immune cells, blood cells are coming inside, releasing the cytokines, and that's where you get the air sacs and a layer of dead cells make breathing impossible. See, right side lung, look at this. This is where breathing is highly impossible. Okay, so quickly see, and also Joshua, remind me the time, okay? Once I start talking, I can jump off, no problem. So symptoms may appear 2 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. And the people with these symptoms may have COVID-19. Also, sometimes we confuse it with common, flu, right? Or we also confuse it with bacterial diseases. Predominantly, if you go to developing countries, even including India, a lot of people don't understand, is it a viral disease? It's a bacterial disease. I'm telling you, because he or she is a doctor doesn't mean they know a lot of things. So fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle, body ache, headache, whatnot, everything, right? Congestion, running nose, nausea, vomiting. So then what you need, if you get any of these symptoms, look for emergency warning signs for COVID. If someone is showing any of these signs, seek emergency medical care immediately. I tell you why people died. At least my relation and families, right? Young guys, 40 to 50 age, very well to do. It's not that they don't have money. They have loaded money, okay? But what they did, they were very afraid to call doctor or go to a doctor or call even a friend and tell them, because they think COVID is like a, we all have perception that COVID is some disease. If you go to doctor, then they'll put you into the hospital, then you might die, you never come back. This is what is happening right now in the countries. Or they think, I don't want to tell people, no, I have a COVID. Remember? So this is where I think a lot of issues are happening. So yes. Yeah. So anyway, this is what I think we need to look into. Who are the more prone? We all know that older adult people who have severe underlying medical conditions like heart or lung diseases or diabetes, right? These people are prone to, more prone to this, and also, of course, deaths will happen among them. That is how it is. So anyway, what are the pretty much, I want to talk about how these variants are evolving. So, when a virus replicates or makes its copies in the past, in the previous slides, it sometimes changes a little bit, which is normal for any virus, right? These changes are called mutations. Remember that the 4 sequences are universal for this RNA as well as DNA, right? So those 4 guys, anywhere 1 or 2 changes, then it is a mutation. So that's what is called variants. Variants for the common people, it is nothing but a virus is mutating rapidly. Let's say you are a young guy, virus comes into you, you can cope up to fight, right? But whereas I'm the old guy and I cannot cope up to fight, then the virus is a very clever how to survive in the environment. So immediately they will, mutate and become either a very infectious mutants or variants, or low infectious mutants. So that's why Delta is a highly contagious and very infectious virus. So what are the types of variants? The way this is classified by CDC and other regulatory bodies, that variants of interest. this is like, delta, alpha, beta of interest, are variants of concern. Right now, delta is a variant of concern, are variants of high consequence. So far, we have not identified high consequence, very, very dangerous, third one. So we don't know how the evolution takes, or, this the COVID is taking us, right? That's why it's very, very critical for everybody, our responsibility to stop it, to, spreading. So I just want to show that alpha B117, they just named it, right? It's alpha variant. First identified in United Kingdom and spread much faster than other variants. It also causes, similar issues. Currently, authorized vaccines do work against this variant, right? Because initially, when this virus was identified in China, Wuhan, and we got all the sequence because of the advanced molecular technologies, we all have it. So that's why we could rapidly develop these testings, right? And then also, we took these sequences, made RNA virus and made a protein virus. Now there is a company is also making DNA virus, right? These are the three molecules what companies have come up and developed. We're going to talk about that. And right side is again, another variant identified in, South Africa. There is a gamma P1, first identified in Japan and Brazil. And right side is the delta. Today, I think we all are worried about delta, which is again numbered B1617. What is the number? Basically, that is the position in the sequence where the mutations takes place. That's why they give that number. So you don't have to know all those things, but sometimes you don't know, right? When seeing in the news, what does this mean? I just want you to know that. Again, all the current vaccines are particularly effective against severe illness and hospitalization. But somehow that effectiveness, it depends. We'll discuss it. Unfortunately, this is what caused India. Kumbh Mela pilgrims turned into, see, they didn't care. They thought, wow, we are all home free in India, right? We can go to marriages, go without mask and, do everything. India is a very good country because we are all very warm weather. We are very, people told me we are very immunized guys, right? From childhood onwards, we exposed to multiple things. We have nothing, no problem, not to worry. This is exactly people told me. So what happened? This is what happened. So again, this left side is a regular, virus. It spreads 1 to 2, whereas Delta spreads 1 to 4, 4 to 8. It is twice or even more than that. It spreads. So you see here how even people are using masks, and some people just put the mask, they just even below the nose. They're still breathing, right? And see how close they are. For whatever, we can't blame them. They have to live. These are the common man, right? They have to go buy their whatever the supplies. They have to do their job. Unfortunately, this is where it started spreading. So we already discussed about this. I wanted to show some videos, but given the time, maybe the slides are available for anybody. I want you to go and watch these, what's going on, right? A lot of news out there. So what to do now? What we as a companies, and we immediately reacted to develop this disruptive technologies to make vaccines or diagnostic tests. So what is this? Basically do the testing the way this picture shows, right? Take the nasal swabs and then send it to the lab, and then they do the RT-PCR testing. So immediately the fantastic method developed was this molecular diagnostics, RT-PCR. I told you, right? RT-PCR, you go to a kid in Africa, he will tell what it is by name. Fantastic, right? Everybody knows. So, and then of course, rapid antigen testing is available now. You can self-test in your home for 20-15 minutes. It will tell you, whether you are infected with COVID or not. I would encourage. I think another problem in India, or other countries is they're not testing. And unless they go to these RT-PCR labs and there's a lot of waiting, you can take advantage. These are very inexpensive tests, $5. You go to Starbucks, it'll cost you $10 to have a coffee, right? So, I mean, people, you got to encourage them to do these self-testings. And of course, more complicated methods are also coming. And that is where we are. I just want to show what exactly, very important, this slide. I want all of you to focus. Happens, right? This is the window of infection. The first date of infection, that is 4 to 5 days. If you don't catch up, you already get some symptoms, right? If you don't see the medical help or a doctor, you will be in trouble. See, once you go into symptoms onset, remember I showed you some symptoms. Once you get into this, this bell shape, that is 6 to 7 days. That is called acute. And, then this is where people get into trouble. Then they get into, they can't breathe, admitted into hospital, and then either you come back or you die. Almost 10% people who got COVID, they died, right? 20% have a very severe issues and they came back. So what does it do? Ultimately, it causes lungs to fully damage, and then it becomes a end stage fibrotic lungs. Inflammation, remember we were talking about cytokine storm, all that things happens, and then lung reaches to final stage of fibrosis. So that's why it's very difficult, no matter what medicines you use, it's too much pushing on the person. Then if you, let's say, asymptomatic, young guy, no problem, you can fight against the virus, you develop antibodies. That the phase is already given here. That's called convalescent phase. These antibodies will help protect against your own infection. That's why, you must have heard, infected people, blood was taken and then prepared these convalescent antibodies and used for treatment. That is what it is. But again, if it continues, you get a anti-SARS-CoV, antibodies that helps fight against your own infection. So what are the vaccines? Just quickly, we'll do it. And what time I have, Joshua? I think almost.
If you can wrap up in next 4 to 5 minutes. That would be
excellent, fantastic. Yeah. So right now, when a new, pathogen or disease enters our body, it introduces a new antigen, right? Which is nothing but the particular virus, right? Virus has its own proteins, right? That's what they call antigen. Like in this case, spike protein, remember? We showed that. So what happens we all, at one point have taken a number of vaccines, the measles, right? Or flu vaccine we take in Europe and US every year, seasonal flu. And all these, what they do is they create antibodies and protect, right? Antibodies are like a Y shape, and there are many of them are formed and, protect, like it's a defensive mechanism, if you would. So what happened in the new virus in this case is SARS-CoV-2, no antibody, right? Because that's why vaccine is needed. So vaccines are made to create this antibody, to make antibodies in your body. Either it is mRNA vaccine, it could be a, other vaccine, right? So we'll talk about that. So this is the left side is the spike protein. You see how everybody targeting on this spike protein as a vaccine. Here is the receptor binding site. This is the guy goes and binds to the cells. So a lot of mutations are happening here for the new variant. That's why it's very difficult to handle the new vaccines or new drugs. So this I already told you what is antibody look like here, the green, the Y shape, and then, goes and sits on the virus, protein, spike protein, and then stops X, right? Then it stops, a virus to infect, and then virus dies. There are a number of ways the current vaccines are made. One is, one is, of course, RNA, just as RNA taken, and then they, mixed with some membrane nanoparticles and then used as a vaccine. So here is the left side is a DNA, and then use the RNA. That is what we use now, RNA as a vaccine, right? 1970s, this the central dogma of the entire life. Are a DNA, two strands like a staircase, having those four molecules, always paid with a fixed rate, and then they transcribe into a single-stranded genetic coding or copying messenger RNA. This is the one makes the protein. That is what ultimately protein can be your your body, right? All the tissues, all the enzymes in the body, all the hormones, whatnot. So that is where any problem into those proteins, you get disease. Okay, so these are the vaccines currently available: Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Oxford, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, BioNTech, and China has a two. India has a COVAX and Covishield. All are different way of making. Okay, that's why people don't know and what to take. But right now, since availability, you take what is available. I don't want to go into this. There are a number of candidates are coming besides those vaccines, and this is how initially how this the color, right? The purple is the virus, and then these are the cells, right? The green, how it is infecting. But once you use the vaccine, it will start decreasing that colored viruses. So again, this is pretty much what we need. What is the access for this allocation of the vaccines? Because some countries don't have and money. So there is a COVAX countries, they're formed by WHO and a lot of charitable organizations like a Gavi Foundation in Europe, Bill Gates Foundation, and SEPI in Washington, DC. They all came together, put together the money, wanted to make these vaccines available for poorer countries, low income, mid income. India also comes into that category, right? So first vaccines were given to these healthcare professionals and all the people with major issues. And then second, of course, the countries under risk with like these countries we already discussed: India, Brazil, USA, Europe, and so on and so forth. And of course, some of them are humanitarian. India, the good news is, has administered more than 590 million doses of vaccine, but still we have 1.4 billion people, right? And some of them, of course, only taken one dose, not two doses. So very, very important. You go back, maintain these practices, no matter, even if you're vaccinated, don't think it is safe. Because you are vaccinated against the alpha type of vaccine, a virus, not the Delta variant virus. So who knows tomorrow what comes in? Then you have to develop another vaccine, right? So make sure when you're coughing, use a common sense, block yourself and wash your hands as much as you want, right? Every time you go in and out. And this washing is also, you need to teach your children. They have to, or we have to ourselves wash for 20 to 60 seconds. Okay, not just go and wash with the water, you got to do that. And get a good ventilation. Make sure your air conditions have to be cleaned. I was told a lot of people stayed in air condition, especially in India. You have these apartments, they want, I have an AC, very safe, very dangerous. That is where the virus sits in there. Even it sits in your public toilets. And then, use the masks, okay? And also these masks have to be thrown every time, not to use the same thing. What is the purpose of mask? I understand it all cost money, but you have to. And then the distance should be always 1 meter or 6 foot. Right? That's what we talk. So I don't want to talk about all these things. The goal here is, currently what is this vaccine, right? Delta variant, how it is really affecting people. All these vaccines now, especially when you take one dose of vaccine, no matter what vaccine is this, right now you have Pfizer vaccine or Moderna, Oxford, AstraZeneca, that's what Covishield in India. And all these vaccines, they have a good study, recent study, just this week. New England Journal of Medicine, it was published, right? August 12th. these are effective against Delta only 30.7%, Alpha 48.7%. Whereas if you take 2 doses, see there's a very good effective 93.7, 88%. What my point here is if you have taken only one vaccine, go ahead and take the second one. At least even if you're infected, you are not getting, at least it's not life-threatening, right? We survive. That's all the goal here. So the goal again is by a lot of people vaccinated, you need to get herd immunity. Meaning, the more you get, the reduction of red becomes, yellow. So that's why this is what the goal in the end. That's why everybody is encouraging, government is encouraging to get vaccinated as much as possible. So this we already discussed, and prevention to avoid transmission, maintain physical distance, community use of well-fitted masks, adequate ventilation, we talked, and avoid crowd and also indoor spaces, and use hygienic like alcohol effectively, right? And then always every day, and when someone is sick, you always tell them and clean everything, disinfectant your house or the hospitals or whatever your apartments. Then again, we discussed about how to take care of testing, right? And the medications currently being used is dexamethasone and or some monoclonal antibodies, and then anticoagulant drugs. Some of them are working very effectively, but these are all after you get infected. Vaccine is before, right? It's a preventive. This is like after that, it's called therapeutic. So this is where it is. So let us collectively drive the COVID-19 away, control, prevent, test, key, right? Keep testing, report the results, don't hide it. There's nothing wrong in that. Trace and track and help our families who have health conditions. I was told that all the mothers and fathers, these young fellows went with the asymptomatic. They were, of course, living very happily with the mothers sleeping in the same room. They passed that to the mothers and they died. And then automatically it recycled in the house. So even if you are young, you have this, but you are the one passing. Let us cope up with the COVID-19, right? So reasonably managing the change and challenges. Are you ready to perform your deed? With that, I want to thank organizing committee and everybody who took time to listen this science. I'm sorry if it is too much technical, but at least I hope you understand something new than what you watch in the news. If you have any further information, if you need further information, reach World Health Organization, CDC, FDA, all those sites in your ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, or UK, all these equivalent bodies. Thank you.